So today we'll discuss about standard text. What is the transaction code? SO10. SO10 is the transaction code for standard text. So what is standard text? Standard text is nothing but a reusable text. A reusable text. For example, terms and conditions of the company, right? Terms and conditions of the company. So when you have multiple different print layout, so the company's terms and conditions might be common everywhere, right? In all the print layouts, the company's terms and conditions might be common. When you are designing this layout, whenever you have terms and conditions, what you need to do? You need to type, right? You need to type the terms and conditions right here, just like this. So this is the terms and conditions, and then in the text you have created a text. And in text we manually type all these terms and conditions, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
So in a organization, in a company, they might have hundreds of forms like this, hundreds of print layouts like this, where they have same terms and conditions, right? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, let's say the company decided to change the terms and conditions. The company decided to amend or change their terms and conditions. Now what they need to do? Now they need to change the terms and conditions in all print layouts, right? So they have some changes in some policy changes, and they want to change their terms and conditions in terms of exchange or in terms of return. Now what they need to do? They have to update all these terms and conditions in all the forms, right? Could you please mute? Right? They have to update the terms and conditions in all the hundreds of forms. What they need to do? They have to open each individual form, smart form, and they have to open each individual terms and conditions. They have to update it here, and they need to activate it, right? And if there are 100 forms, they have to do same work for 100 forms. They need to apply this change for 100 forms. For example, let's say we are using a reusable text. We have an object and we place the terms and condition text in it, and we are just reusing and we are just using that name here, just like logo. Are we uploading logo for each smart form? For example, if you need a company logo to be displayed on smart form, are we uploading the logo? If it is the same logo, are we uploading same logo for all the smart forms? For example, there are 100 smart forms. To upload, to display the company logo, do we need to upload that logo for 100 times? No, right? We are just uploading it in SC78 for only once, and then we are referring that name in the smart form, right? We are not uploading every time. We are uploading only once to SC78, and we are using that name wherever we need to display that logo, right? Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
We are just referring that name in the graphics section. We are just referring that logo name, right? We are not uploading logo itself to the smart form. We are just referring that name, so that logo will be displayed here. For example, if you are using same logo in hundreds of forms, For example, after some time, after some years, company decided to change their logo. Company decided to change their logo. They come up with a new logo, right, with a new design. Now to change the logo in all smart forms, what we need to do? Do we need to open every smart form and change the logo? Is it required? No, right? Just go to SC78 and upload the new logo with the same name, right? Wherever you
Yes,
are
sir.
referring this name, the new logo will be updated automatically. You don't need to go to every smart form and change the logo. Just update this GDemo logo one in SC78. That change will automatically applies to all the smart forms, right? Because each smart form is just calling the logo by their name. We are not physically uploading logo to the smart form, right?
Yes, sir.
We are just reusing the logo which is created in SC78 in all the smart forms. Correct? So that
Yes,
if
sir.
there is any change in logo, we don't need to change all the smart forms. We just go to SC78 and update the logo. The changes will automatically reflect in all the smart forms, right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, text also. If you manually enter the text here, if you manually enter the text here, there is any change in terms and conditions, what you need to do? You need to open all the hundreds of forms and you need to update, right?
Yes, sir.
But let's assume if we are using a reusable text, just like logo, if we make this text as reusable, just like logo, so we can just refer the text name. We don't need to type it manually here. So that if there is any change in text, we can just go to that particular transaction and update the text. So that that particular change will reflect in all the smart forms, right?
Yes, sir.
So here we have standard text. Standard text is nothing but it's a reusable text. Okay, what is standard text? Reusable
Text.
text. We create in which transaction?
SO10.
SO10. Standard text is client dependent. Standard text is client dependent. For example, we have a development server. We have a development server. In this, we have two clients. You know what is client, right? Client is a logical partition.
Large computation.
For example, dev 100. This is for development, creating programs, creating tables, etc. Dev 200. This is for unit testing. This is for unit testing. What is unit testing? What is unit testing?
Uh,
A testing performed by the developer.
100%.
It's like a basic testing performed by developer, right?
Yes, sir.
That is unit testing. So testing that is done by developer, that is unit testing. Usually in development system we'll be having two clients in any project, in many projects. Okay, one testing we use for development and the another client we use for testing. So 100 client is for development and client 200 is for unit testing. So what is unit testing? It's like a basic testing performed by developer, whether he is going to check whether the program is working fine or not before moving it to test system.
Test system.
Developer will perform unit testing. In the test server, the dedicated testing team will do proper testing. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, for example, we created some text in development client, that is 100. Now, can I access same text in development 200 automatically? Once we created it in system is same. The system is same. For example, system name is DEV and we have two different clients in the same system. For example, if you take a table, for example, you created a custom table in development system in client number 100. Can you see the table in client number 200 or not in S11? For example, you created a report program in development client 100. Can you access the same program in client number 200 or not? I don't know why you are confusing, but if you create any program or data dictionary object, anything in client number 100, you can access that programs and data dictionary objects in client number 200 also. Okay, clear? If you go to SC38, you can access the same program in client number 200 also, because the system is same, the server is same, only the clients are different. Okay, only the clients are different. If you see here, we have three different systems, right? ECC 2020 and 2021. Let's assume 2021 as a development system, 2020 as a testing system, and ECC 19 as a production system. First we create programs in 2021, right? Here we have client number 800 and let's assume there is one more client, client number 810. This is for unit testing. Server is same. Server is 2021 only, but client number is different. That is 810. Clear? Whatever the programs, objects you created in client number 100, they will be available in client number 810 also, because it is another client of the same system, right?
Yes, sir.
And let's go back to our previous concept, that is client independent data and client dependent data. Let's say I have a table with the MANDT field in client number in development system, and I have created and I have logged in into client number 100 and created some data in it. Can you access that data in client number 200? So the table contains
No.
MANDT field, and I have created some records in the table in client number 100. Can you access that records, particular records in client number 200?
No, sir.
No, because it's a
MANDT.
it's a client dependent table, right? And now tell me, can you access that custom table in another client in S11? Can you open that custom table? I'm not talking about data. I'm talking about the table. Can you access the table in client number 200?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can access, right? You can access the table, but you cannot see that records because that's a client dependent table. You can access the same table in both clients, right? But you cannot access only client dependent records created in it, right? The records created in 100 you cannot see in client number 200. Similarly, you can also create records in client number 200, right? In the same table, those records are not visible in client number 100.
100.
That is the difference. But you can access the same table in both clients because system is same, right?
Yes, sir.
But here, if you take standard text, if you create standard text in 100, that same standard text is not visible in 200 because standard text is client dependent. Standard text is client dependent object. If you create standard text object in client number 100, that won't be automatically available in another client. Okay, it is quite opposite to the programs and tables. If you create a program, if you create a table, those objects will be automatically available in another client, all the clients of the same system, right? But if you create a standard text won't be available in another client automatically. We have to manually copy the standard text to different client. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. We
Okay,
use
sir.
SCC1 transaction code to copy standard text from one client to another client. Clear? Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
So, standard text is a client dependent object. It won't create standard text in all the clients. Just like tables and programs, function modules, class methods. If you create these function modules, class methods, programs or tables, these objects will be automatically created in all the clients, right? But if you take standard text, it's not going to create the object in all the clients. Okay, we need to manually copy this to the required client. Okay, whenever you do some changes to the standard text, after the change you need to copy that standard text to the unit testing client. Okay, using SCC1. Okay, is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
And tell me one more thing. When you are creating a program, when you are creating a program, when you assign a package and when you are saving the program and when you assign a package, what it will expect? You created the program and click on save, and it's asking for a package, and you enter the package and click on save. What will happen next? I've selected ZMM as a package when creating the program. So what it will expect? I really don't know whether you guys are practicing or not, but I'll show you. So I'm not assigning the local object, but I'm assigning some package, that is GMM, and click on save. Does not exist. We'll select some existing packages. I'll use this one, G001. What will happen next? If I click on save, don't you guys know? It will ask for a transport request, right?
Yes, sir.
It will ask for a transport request, and we create or assign existing transport request, depends on the requirement, so that I can transport this program to the test system, right?
Yes, sir.
But here, if you go to standard text, if you are creating a standard text, it won't expect any transport request. It won't assign any transport request, right? We need to assign it. We need to create a transport request manually, and we need to assign all these standard text objects to the transport request, right? Clear? We
Yes,
need
sir.
to manually assign the standard text to transport request. Okay?
Okay, sir.
For that, we have a program to assign standard text objects. So whatever the standard text object we created, to assign the standard text objects to this transport request, we have a program to run, that is rstx. So this is the program to add standard text objects to transport request. Okay, so we need to use this program to transport it to further systems like test system and production system. We cannot automatically automatically assign transport request to standard text. We should always use rxtran rstx tran program to assign standard text to a transport request. Okay, clear? Is everyone clear on this?
Yes, sir.
So standard text is a reusable text. You can use the standard text in many places. Even you can use the standard text in report programs also. Okay. Once you created the standard text in SO10, you can use this standard text in print layouts and report programs. Depends on the requirement. So that if there is any change in that text in future, you don't need to change all these objects. Just go to SO10 and update the text. It will automatically reflect in all the objects, right? Clear?
Yes, sir.
So you need to remember how to copy standard text to another client and how to add standard text to a transport request, because it won't automatically expect a transport request when you create a standard text. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so let's create some standard text. What is the transaction code?
S1 and 0.
Sorry.
S1 and 0.
So SO10 is the transaction code, SO10. Okay. Now provide some text ID. You can access the text IDs by searching like this: G star F4 and execute. Use your search term and execute. So these are all available standard text in this server. Double click on it. For example, any double click and display. It is empty. There is nothing here. Okay. So we'll create one text. We'll create one text. Z demo underscore terms. Okay. So I think we are creating Smartforms in S4H, right? We'll create standard text is also in S4H. /o SO10 is a transaction code, and Z demo terms. Yeah, Z demo terms. Text ID is ST, language is English. Click on create. Hello. This is some MS Word extension. If you observe here, we'll just take some text, or else I'll just copy this and paste here. Okay. So these are my terms and conditions, right? And you have another format also. This is MS Word. In some systems, if you don't have Microsoft Office, it won't display this MS Word extension. Then you need to use not command. You have a line editor here. You have to use line editor. This one. Okay. You can also use this line editor. What is the star in line editor? Star means new paragraph, new line. Okay, clear? For new line, it will automatically assign star. If you click on F4 here, these are the symbols. Paragraph with justified, centered, left aligned, continuous text. Space means continuous text that belongs to the same paragraph. Extended line, raw line, line feed. Okay, you can use all these symbols
Okay,
here,
sir.
depends on the requirement. You can use change editor to navigate to the MS Word based editor. Okay, if you are typing long texts, these are very convenient. MS Word editor is convenient. Hello. So this is MS Word editor. Okay, you can change the editor, depends on the requirement. Now click on save. Our standard text is completed. Click on save and go back. So this is our standard text. You can also see this in print preview. LP01. So this is the print preview of our standard text, right? Now this is a reusable text. This is a reusable text, correct? Did it ask?
Yes, sir.
Did we assign any transport request for this?
No, sir.
Is it asking any package name to assign? When I
Let's see.
created this standard text, did we assign any package, local object or any package? No, right?
No, sir.
No. If you go to the other client and check, you cannot find this text until unless we copy the standard text to the another client, right? So first we'll see how to assign this transport request. How can we transport this standard text to test system or production system? How can we transport? So tell me in general, how can we transport objects, general objects like programs and data dictionary objects to the test system and the production system? How can we move those changes to the test system and production system? Tell me, how can you move program changes or table data dictionary objects changes from development system to test system?
Transport
By
request
using a transport
changes.
request. We assign those changes to the transport request and we release the transport request. But here it
Yes,
is
sir.
not expecting any transport request, right?
Yes, sir.
So then how can you transport the standard text to the test system? So we have to
Okay.
manually assign transport request to this standard text. Okay, clear? Is everyone clear?
Okay, sir.
We manually need to assign standard transport request to the standard text. So what is the program name for this? Let's go to SE38. RS TXT or AN.
Sir, RS.
So this is the program. Add script text to the correction. Correction nothing but a transport request. Okay. Select this program and execute. Select the source code. Okay, execute. Now what it is expecting here? Name of the correction or repair. This is nothing but transport request. This is expecting a transport request number here, and here what we need to pass? Standard text name. Okay. Where you can find the
Yes, sir.
transport request? You can find the transport request in which transaction code?
RCC.
Not RCC. I don't know what is RCC. What is transport
Ah,
organizer? I've taken a complete class on that. How to create transport request and all. Okay.
yes,
SC09 is the transaction code for transport requests. Okay. SC09. There is one
okay,
more
sir.
transaction code SC01. So here you can select one transport request to assign to the standard text, or you can create one new transport request and assign it to standard text. How to create a new transport request? Manually. Create. Go to request task and create workbench request. Okay. Customizing request is for configurations. Copy. You can save, and it's created one main task and one subtask. Now what is the type of the subtask? What is the type of the subtask by default when you created the transport request manually? What is the type? Unclassified. Can't you see? It is unclassified. Now we have to change the type of the transport request. Okay. Change the type of the subtask. Go to change type. Select change type. What is the type you have to select? What is the type? You have to select development or correction. Okay. Now I have changed the task type as development correction. Now copy this transport request number. Here please observe, here we use subtask, not the main task. We assign standard text to the subtask. This is the transport request number, right? What is your text? This is my text name, right? If you have multiple, use select option. If you need to add multiple standard texts to the same transport request number, use this select option and enter all your text names. Now click on enter. Now click on execute. So select all, whatever the text you need to select, click on continue. Text selected to be added to the transport request. Go to the transport request and check. Just refresh this. Where is the refresh option? This is the Fiori theme. It will like you don't have buttons here. If it is classic theme, you'll be having all buttons. It would be easy. Okay.
Edit, sir.
No, no, not edit. Refresh. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So refresh. No, it's not available. Just copy this. Transfer text to correction. I think this step is pending. Transfer text to correction. Click on this. Do you want to add text to the correction? Yes. Now our texts are added to the transport request. Now just refresh. Expand this. Standard text is added to the transport request. Okay. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Now you can release this to the test system and the production system. Okay. This is how we
Okay, sir.
add standard text to the transport request using RSTXT RAN program.
No.
That is the program name.
Yes, sir.
Now, how can you copy this to the unit testing client to the other client? We need to use SCC1 is the transaction code. Go to the other client. So, for example, you need to copy standard text to the client number 200. That is unit testing client. Now, go to login to the unit testing client 200 and execute this transaction code. Not in the current client. You need to execute SCC1 in another client where you need to copy. Okay. You need to log in into the another client and execute SCC1. Okay. What is the target client? For example, 810. What is the transport request number? You need to copy the transport request which you have added the standard text and provide the transport request and direct execution. So it will copy standard text to the client. Okay. Clear? And you can access that standard text in SO10. Clear?
Yes, sir.
To copy that, first you need to add that standard text to the transport request. Now we'll see how to use the standard text in our Smartform. So I'm deleting this terms and condition text. Delete this because instead of typing it manually here in text, we'll reuse the standard text. Delete this. Create text again. What I have selected here? Text module. Instead of text element, I've selected the text module. Select the text name. What is your text name? What is the text we created? What is the text we created? Z demo terms,
It
right?
underscore term.
Yeah. copy this, enter the name here, language is EN, apply. I think it's include text, not text module. Text module is different. I think it's include text. Select include text, and text name is standard text name. And what is the text object? You know already English. Language is English. Text object is text only. Text, text. What is the text ID? Text ID is st.
Yes.
st means standard text. You need to use include text. Okay. In output options, if you want a frame, you can select frame. Okay. That's how you include standard text. Click on save, activate. And let's try to execute this form. Yeah, this is a sales form, right? Do you remember where did we use this smart form? Or we'll just call this smart form in some program. Okay, we'll create the program. So please observe, I am not using SSF function module. Okay,
Okay,
but
sir.
we have to use it just to display the output of the standard text. I'm executing this. Activate the program. Execute. Now, from where this text is coming from, this terms and conditions. From where this
Standard.
text is populating?
S401.
Sorry, which one?
S401 transaction standard coordinator.
It's not S401, it is S410. Okay.
Ah,
Now
okay,
let's
sir. Sorry.
assume we can include same standard text in hundreds of smart forms. We can include the same standard text in any number of smart forms. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Let's say there is a change in terms and conditions. We need to go to the smart forms and change all the individual smart forms wherever this standard text is being used. No, just go to S410, open the standard text and change your terms and conditions. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I'll do some changes. Okay, save it. Save the standard text. Now let's go to your program. Go back, execute, LP01, print preview. Are the changes reflected or not?
Yes, sir.
The changes are reflected, right, in the smart form.
Yes, sir.
Since we are using only one smart form, you may not be able to observe huge difference. But when we are using same terms and conditions in many smart forms, right, it is very simple to change these terms and conditions instead of going back to each and every smart form and updating, right? It will take only 2 minutes to update this reusable standard text, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's about standard text and how to use standard text in smart forms. You can also use same standard text in your report programs also. Okay. You can read all the standard text in your report program also. Here we are just using in smart forms, but you can also use standard text in programs. Okay, for that in program we use a function module, that is, go to SC37, read underscore text. Read underscore text is the function module to read standard text in programs. Okay, what is the ID?
ST.
ID is ST. What is language?
No.
EN. Name. What is the standard text name?
Sir.
Provide the name. Object. Text.
Text.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now execute. So this is your standard text, right?
Yes, sir.
You can use this exporting parameter in your program. Depends on your requirement. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Or we'll simply call this in the sample program itself.
Sir, read underscore text only for reading purpose only, sir. Is there any changes also available, sir?
No, this is just to read the standard text. Okay. So usually we don't write a program to read only standard text. Okay, we include this read text functionality inside a different functionality. Okay, we combine different logics. Okay, so what is the function module? Read underscore text, right? So client, you can enable this. What is ID? You can pass the hard coded values like this, or it is automatically defined some parameters, right? You can make it as a constant value. What is the value? ST, right?
Yes,
You can also pass like this. Okay, this
I,
ID,
I sir.
language, or you can just pass like using hard coded values like this. Name, Z demo terms, not text. What is the object? Text.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are getting the text into lines, right? These lines, right?
Yes, sir.
But to define, to handle this, we need an internal table, right? It is automatically defined one internal table. Okay, or if it does not showing any default declarations, go to read text, go to tables, T line, right? Copy this associated type and define one internal table here. Okay, clear? We'll use CL demo. What type of method it is? CL demo output display. Is it a static or instance method?
Static, sir.
Activate. Type conflict. There is a type conflict. We have a runtime exception. What it's saying? Language. There is a type conflict in language field. Go back, change it. Okay, go to the function module signature, language. What is the length of this? Double click. Spras, only length 1. Okay, it is taking short form of the language code, pass only E. That's why if we go by this, right, instead of going like this, if we go by this data declarations, we can reduce this type of runtime exceptions. Execute. So this is the text. You can use this text inside the program, depends on your requirement. Okay,
Okay, sir.
I've created this program just to show you how to call standard text in your report programs. Okay, you are not going to get any requirement to read only standard text, to create a program to read only the standard text and display as output. Okay, you need to use this functionality inside some other program, right, to achieve some logic. Clear?
Yes, sir.